There are 7 continents on our planet. A continent is a large section of land that is separated from other areas of land. Most of the time, they are separated by water. The 7 continents are North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. The country we're studying today is Cambodia, and it is found on the Asian continent. Cambodia is located toward the bottom of Asia, south of China, and east of India. Cambodia is officially known as the Kingdom of Cambodia. So, as you might expect, Cambodia has a king. The capital and the largest city is Phnom Penh. It is a smaller country, but it used to be much larger. For close to 3,000 years, it was very powerful in the region of Southeast Asia. The largest city at the time of its power was called Angkor. Angkor really just means city, and it is at the time it was said to be the largest city in the world, capable of supporting more than 1 million people. Even today, there aren't very many cities that can house more than 1 million people. Like most countries that were once a superpower, they experienced a long period of decline after years and years of war. They were taken over and ruled by neighboring civilizations, those of Vietnam and Siam. And at one point, Cambodia was almost eliminated completely as a culture. In 1863, one man named King Norodom I, who was ruling in Cambodia on behalf of Siam, who was controlling Cambodia at the time, he is credited for saving Cambodia from disappearing completely. And he simply did this by asking France for help. At this time, Cambodia was already a colony of France. It was part of French Indochina. But Cambodia was autonomous, meaning they ruled themselves. France agreed to take Cambodia on as a protectorate, or something that is a bit more controlling than a colony. To understand that word, protectorate, just look at the main part of the word, protector. France would protect Cambodia in exchange for an administrative and financial control of Cambodia. That means that they could choose the leaders. France would have control over who became the king, and they would have complete control of how Cambodia would spend its money. So, as you might imagine, this may not have been the most popular choice for most of the Cambodians. However, most people do believe that this move is what saved Cambodia from ceasing to exist altogether. It was not until November 9th, 1953, that Cambodia gained independence from France. During the two world wars, World War I and World War II, Cambodia was not a significant player in it. They were not part of the Vietnam War either, but they did suffer a lot during that war. See, Vietnam is the next door neighbor to Cambodia, and, well, Vietnam was at war with the United States. Vietnam forces, the Viet Cong, would go into Cambodia and hide there. Well, when the U.S. caught wind of Vietnam forces hiding in Cambodia, they just went in and bombed them. They'd get intelligence as to where the Viet Cong were hiding, and they would send in planes and just bomb the heck out of the area. The problem was, by the time the U.S. bombing planes got there, the Viet Cong had already left that area, and basically, a poor innocent village got bombed. By the end of the Vietnam War, Cambodia had become the most bombed country in the history of the world. Neither Japan nor Germany, who saw a lot of the U.S. bombing, could compare to what Cambodia experienced as an innocent bystander in the Vietnam War. Now, this seems like a pretty bad thing, but even after becoming the most bombed country in the history of the world, their suffering wasn't over. See, whenever a country suffers a great disaster like this, it's not uncommon for a bad guy to come in and pretend to be some type of savior for them in order to take control. It happened in Germany when Hitler came to power, and it happened in 1975 with a man named Pol Pot in Cambodia. Pol Pot was the leader of a rebel group called the Khmer Rouge. Khmer was the French word for Cambodia, and Rouge is the French word for red. Red Cambodia, just like Red China, means that they wanted and supported communism. Pol Pot studied under and was acquainted with one of the worst leaders in Chinese history, General Mao. Pol Pot appeared to have good intentions at first. After the bombing, Cambodia was faced with imminent famine because of the loss and destruction of the rice fields. They needed help, and Pol Pot had a plan. He gained control of Phnom Penh, which is the largest city, and basically convinced or forced everyone to leave the city, claiming it was only for a short period. But after that, he didn't let people back in, and he forced people to start working in the rice fields. And that seems like a good thing, too. They needed to start working in the rice fields to start making food so that they wouldn't starve to death. The problem is it was too little, too late. His vision was to make Cambodia be completely independent and agrarian, or farmers, but there was no way they could have done enough planting in time to save the general populace. Close to 1 million people died during this time from starvation, overwork, disease, and eventually even execution. Anybody who even questioned or said anything about Pol Pot was immediately executed, simply to keep him in power. Next, following the model of Maoist China, he decided to purge the country of anything Western, such as doctors, lawyers, and teachers, anything that had anything to do with education in the Western world. He wanted out of Cambodia. Well, just about anyone with any education was killed. Libraries were destroyed, and history was lost. Toward the end, Pol Pot became paranoid that everyone, including his own soldiers, were betraying him. And it was during this time that the infamous killing fields came into being. Basically, people were lined up in these fields and killed, massacred, and they buried them in a shallow grave. Pol Pot's reign lasted only about 3 years, but during that time of only 3 years, approximately 3 to 8 million people that lived in Cambodia were killed. Today, all that's left of Pol Pot's era are a few monuments, like this one here, that is a tribute to the people, the millions of people that died under Pol Pot's bloody reign. It was a brutal period, and the world in general never knew that it was happening until it was over. The Khmer Rouge fled to the jungles, and Pol Pot lived there for many years. And eventually, a king was restored to power, and Cambodia formed a constitutional monarchy. That means that there are more leaders than just the king, and the people do have some voice in how their government is run. Today, Cambodia has almost 15 million people living in the country. Cambodia shares many cultural similarities with other countries in the region. One traditional outfit or article of clothing in Cambodia is called a sambat. Sambat is basically a skirt that is tied around the waist and in such a way that it looks like loose pants. Both men and women wear various versions of this in varying circumstances. Cambodian music and dance dates back thousands of years. The Cambodian Ballet is still widely practiced and respected a lot in Cambodia. Cambodian people are taught to be very polite and respectful of adults from their youngest ages in childhood. The older a person is, the more respected he is in the community. The Buddhist monks are well respected members of their society. One of the treasures of Cambodia is Angkor Wat. Angkor means city and was the ancient center of the Khmer Empire. Wat means temple. So Angkor Wat literally means temple city. And today, Angkor Wat is a massive temple with a strong architecture and intricate detail that was built almost 8,000 years ago. It is a marvel to behold and is considered to be one of the wonders of the world. So, of course, it brings a lot of tourism. And it is such a pride of Cambodia that even an image of Angkor Wat has been on the Cambodian flag since 1863. The food of Cambodia, for the most part, is similar to any other country in Southeast Asia. But a stir fry mixed with rice would probably be the most common meal. Also, insects and spiders are commonly consumed. Even tarantulas are common in the area and make a pretty good meal when properly fried up. Most of the people in Cambodia are Buddhist. The monks are respected members of society and a big part of the religious practice of the people. Soccer and boxing are also popular sports in Cambodia, but you can find almost any Western sport played there. Boat racing and wrestling are some of the traditional sports that are still practiced today. Cambodia is still a very poor country. There's a lot of poverty there. The average amount of money that a person makes in Cambodia is about $1,000 per year. Now that might seem like a lot to a kid, but compare that to America's average of about $40,000 per year per person on average. Here in America, if a person had the lowest possible paying job that they could find, they would still be making about $14,000 per year. The climate of Cambodia is hot and humid. It is close to the equator, so there are a lot of dense tropical jungles and rainforests. There are two seasons in Cambodia, a rainy season and a dry season. A lot of rural homes, or homes not in the city, are built on stilts because of how much water there is during the rainy season. Cambodia has had a rough history, but today it is improving, growing, and the standards of living are slowly improving.